Hey, it's Laura.
It's Amanda.
And we are Moms on a Mission,
where faith, motherhood, and purpose come together.
We're not just raising children, we're raising disciples, striving to make an eternal impact in our homes and beyond.
Here, we choose grace over guilt, progress over perfection, and God's truth over the world's noise.
Together, we'll encourage, uplift, and equip one another to walk boldly in our calling as mothers on a mission.
So grab your coffee, take a deep breath, and let's dive into this journey of faith-filled motherhood. One step, one prayer, and one mission at a time. All right, welcome back to Moms on a Mission. This is episode 28, part 2.
Part 2. This is the first for us.
Yes, we've never had to do this, but we've really been trying to be intentional about cutting these episodes shorter. But the more we try, the longer they go.
That's right. So we've really given it a go on this one to cut this into a 2-part episode.
Yes.
So we started last week talking about the characteristics and masculinity of raising our boys.
Yes, how to make men from boys.
Yes, and driving home Charlie Kirk's points. And let's get back to it for the final topics in today's episode.
Sounds good. This is episode 28, part 2.
Part 2.
Okay, so we did the sexual partner one, even though I thought we would do that one last, but we just
kind of
hopped
went out
right
of
on.
order. That's all right.
We jumped right on that one. That one was, that was more of our fun one to talk about because there's just so much there. It just goes against so many of the, what we see in culture right now. The restrain your impulses. I've really loved that one. That's, again, raising these manly men who, can stand up in the world. And, he even Charlie Kirk talks about the fact that their like testosterone levels are like, they plummet every generation, like an insane amount less testosterone shows up in their DNA than was in the past. A part of me is like kind of okay with like I don't know if I'm tough enough for like cowboy culture.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But
but I'm not saying that I'm not either.
Right. I mean, I don't know, but like a nice cowboy is like, like, but yes, I mean, I love, that a man that can be a man that can help provide, that can provide, and that, is strong, makes me feel safe, taken care of. Absolutely. Okay, this one, do something adventurous. When I first heard that, I was like, oh man, my mom heart did a little pitter patter.
Yeah, because that often is associated with things like ER trips and stitches.
Yes, danger.
Yes.
Yes. I'm like, oh. And yes, that's exactly the biblical scripture that has to do with some of the adventure taking. David and Goliath. Okay, absolutely terrifying. Peter walking on water.
Yep, that's the note that I have.
Yeah, that's a scary one. What was the other one? The Lion's Den.
Yeah, Daniel and the Lion's Den.
Yep. Yeah. Oh man, those are life threatening. I try to keep, especially my youngest. Got to keep him on track.
Got to rein him in. That's what I told somebody the other day. I said Holt is his own hashtag, and he is. But yeah, that was. But to do something adventurous, and I think this kind of goes along with. Do you know who Mark Driscoll is?
I know the name. He
pastors a church out in Arizona. He's great. And he does like a whole series of preaching specifically to men. I think it's either called Real Men or Real Faith. But it's great.
Yeah.
It's great. But one of his big points that he likes to reiterate amongst his family especially is always have something fun on the calendar to look forward to.
Oh, yes. I've heard that before.
Yes.
I love that.
And for us, because we've got a house full of boys, because I live in a house full of boys, that's always some sort of adventure.
Yeah.
And doing something adventurous. Because God wired men to take risks, but holy risks that require faith, not foolishness.
See, there's a very fine line there, because I think adventure. I'm like, okay, we're out hiking.
Yep.
The boys are camping. I have taken the camping aspect away from them, because I'm like, the last time I camped, I was pregnant, like in a tent.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I was pregnant. I woke up to water from dew dripping on my face. And I was like, let me tell you something right now, Matt Fulmer. This is the last time you're going to catch my butt in a tent.
That's right.
Never again. I hate this. It's awful. And
We must glamp
yes,
from now
I
on.
glamp. And so, yes, and I absolutely love it. I love being outside. I love seeing them like run through the woods and pick up, lizards. I've got so many pictures of Luke like with some creature in his hand.
Bugs.
Yes.
Insects.
Yep.
Yes.
Of lizards especially.
Yes.
He even likes to let him bite him. I'm like,
oh yeah, Maddox will hang them from his ears.
I have a picture of Luke with one hanging from his chest.
Oh yeah,
his nipple in particularly.
Maddox walked up the front door the other day and had a garden snake in his hand that he found while Josh was on the tractor moving some of the wood chips around.
Yeah.
And he comes, up the front steps and he's got this snake in his hands. And I'm thinking, I'm just glad it's, not poisonous.
Right,
and
yes.
that you can identify it, because from the ground, I probably wouldn't be able to. I just leave them all alone.
Same.
But no, no hesitation, picked it up, came to show me, and then, took it back and let it go.
Yes, they do have that sense of adventure. Like mine the other day, I could hear all this racket in the woods. I'm like, what are you guys doing? I'm yelling from the door, and they're like, building a hut in the bamboo forest. I'm like, oh, okay.
Okay. Carry on.
They had some sort of large knives out there, which they have been trained in. Like we've really truly trained both of them on using those things,
like machetes.
Yes, they're small machetes.
That's all right.
But like I said, we have trained them, and they know, like when they go out there, that to be very safe and be very aware of everything around and all that. So, but that's right there what I'm talking about. Like, do I give my kid these things so that they can be adventurous and build huts in the woods? I want to, but then my heart is scared. Because
as long as they're safe and careful.
Right. Yes.
That's what boys are supposed to do. They are by nature. They are supposed to go out and get dirty and use their hands and be curious and climb and build, and they're supposed to do those things.
And I'll tell you what, my husband is a man that, and yours is the same, I know, if really like poop hit the fan in the country and like everything shuts down.
We're ready to rock and roll.
I don't know that we're ready, but we could, like, for a while, we're gonna make it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And the rest of the family is gonna start slowly showing up, because they know who is gonna skin the animals, cook the animals, start the fires, build the things. Like, I'm not real good at keeping things on hand. That's why I say that I'm not super prepared, because I'm not real good about that kind of stuff. But
we have like a whole family plan in order.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
We have like a place in Matt's family that it was like, if it really, like really, really, like this is probably where you're going to want to go, because it's the most land and it's away from most things.
Yes.
But we have a lot of the resources. I've got one of the resources, is my husband, because he knows how to do all that stuff.
Yes.
Anyway, long story short, to say, I want my boys to be able to, like, if something happens, they have some survival skills. I want them to have survival skills. And I was telling you before we started recording, one time the little neighbor boy shows up at the house, and he's got this little kitten that had been attacked by a dog or something. It was torn up, but it was still alive.
Yeah.
And my husband took that thing and he put it out of its misery. And I cannot tell you how grateful I was that night, because I'm like crying. I don't know what to do. I didn't want it to suffer anymore, but I certainly wasn't going to take its life.
He just jumped right in and handled it. And that's, I think that's just another characteristic and a trait of being a man.
Yes.
One that possesses true masculinity.
Yes.
And not and we talked about this and we joked about it, a little bit, like not the kind that are like afraid to kill spiders, like that send their wife in place of killing spiders or stuff like that. Like, of course, that's in a joking manner to an extent. Like I want my boys to be them. And I love that they have the example in Josh we are not afraid to get our hands dirty. We're not afraid to change oil. We're not afraid to go hunting for our own food
Right.
and, having things processed, fishing, and truly bringing them back and putting them on the grill and consuming
I
them.
can skin a buck and run a trout line.
Yes, that's my kids.
Yes, absolutely.
And it's because they've learned from from Josh, from Papa, from their cousins and their uncles, and those are the kind of boys that I am raising, and that's as much as I'm trying to teach them what they need to look for in a wife as well. I am hoping that somewhere out here, moms are teaching their daughters the very things to look for in our boys.
Yes.
So, because I want whoever they end up dating and ultimately creating a life with, want them to be equally yoked.
Yes.
And I don't think I have realized how important that is until, much later in the game, that I don't really, and take this however you want, I don't really want my children dating non-believers because they are pretty and because they possess this characteristic or this quality, in hopes of turning them into believers.
Oh, no. No.
And seeing the potential in them. Nope. I want us to already be fairly equally yoked in our walks, in our faith, before we go on to the next level.
Yes. Yep. And again, the Charlie Kirk theory here, he spoke on this too. This guy was like, they were different religions or something. And he was like, you need to agree on the macro things. You need to agree in faith. You need to agree on, there are very big issues that you need to agree on. Faith is one really big one. Don't think that you're going, and politics.
Yes.
That's what it was in the video. The guy was like, we're on different sides of the aisle when it comes to politics. He was like, do you want the truth? And the kid's like, yeah. And he's like, it's not going to work.
Yeah, break up with her.
Yeah. He's like, because it's just too much. You're too far apart. It's just hell on earth when you try to do that. And, and kind of talking on that point, it brought up in my mind, like, first of all, trying to change somebody, we all know, as we know, we're sneaking up on 40. We know that don't work.
No,
that doesn't work.
Setting
it's not going to
yourself
happen.
up for failure.
Yes,
you're trying to do that.
So teaching our kids that young and talking to them about that, I believe that is important. But also, like, I don't want a girl to come and undo all the doing that I have done.
Absolutely not.
Like, my like demasculating something. I don't want someone to take that away from my son. Nope. I want her to appreciate that and love that and see that in him and feel safe. Not like, ew, no. I mean, I know we have our feminine characteristics and we can soften things, but I want that to be something that someone appreciates and doesn't try to delete from their personalities or take away from them. And I think a lot of times that happens in like the current dating culture of, girls kind of like taking over the situation, and like even right down to, I want Matt to be healthy, but I really don't want to see him doing yoga.
Right. Oh no. No, that would be a
weights,
turnoff.
Yes. Bent all up in a yoga position.
No,
not really.
Bench pressing. Yes.
Yes.
Yoga, no.
Like, I want you to be healthy. Yes. I want you to be able to touch your toes. Don't want you to be able to do like a back bendy thing. No. Nope.
Nope. I sure don't. But if that's who you are seeking, then you can just bypass my boys, because that's not going to be them. You can just keep on going and look for the next. But, same. I want my kiddos looking for someone who maybe they grew up with in church. Yeah. Maybe it's somebody from school. Wherever it is, I just want them to have also a strong biblical foundation, a Christ-centered family that they have watched growing up, and just, I just want them to be on the same page.
Yes. Yeah. Equally yoked. I think that was a beautiful way to put it.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yep. Okay. So
There's one thing right here though that I want to touch on, because this specifically on the doing something adventurous.
yes.
Because we even started off by saying, the first thing comes to our mind is, mountain climbing and that
Yeah.
sort of stuff. But this point here is, adventure doesn't always necessarily mean mountain climbing. It can mean taking faith-filled action, like starting a business, leading a family, and standing for truth.
Mm-hmm.
And the modern world has domesticated men, but spiritual adventure reignites purpose. Adventure develops courage, humility, and trust in God. Boys become men when they face something bigger than themselves and they depend on God to get them through it. And so your example that you mentioned early on was about David and Goliath. Not because he was fearless, but because God had trusted more than he feared failure. And Peter stepping out of the boat was that challenge. Even if we challenged ourselves or our listeners to step out of the boat themselves, meaning that maybe leading a family devotional, joining a mission trip, or taking responsibility for something that you've avoided. And I really, really want to do a mission trip.
Mm-hmm.
So Maddox has started going to discipleship at church because he's asked how he goes on one. And I said, I think it starts here.
Yeah.
And so he actually attended the first one last Sunday. But just going back to even like being adventurous as far as starting a business, I wouldn't have thought about it from that perspective.
That's very true.
But as people that have started numerous businesses,
Yes.
like that is adventurous.
It is totally adventurous. And I think even more so for like the like young boy aspect of that, just allowing them, like adventure it could also mean feeling independent and powerful.
Yeah.
Allowing them to feel independent and powerful, whether that be cooking something over a fire, learning how to start a fire.
Yeah.
Like you had said, starting a group. For Matt, his big adventure like right now is coaching and being involved in men's groups.
Yeah.
Because that is not where his comfort zone is.
Nope.
He had to step out of all the boxes for both of those things. And I'm so proud of him because he's taken it on. He's done such a beautiful job in both.
That's awesome.
But that's not, out of the comfort zone and feeling independence and, yes, I can do that. My boys put, I want to say underpinning, but it's, like when your porch is built out from your house and like there's, so then you have like the poles that support the porch.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But then you have like the porch area, so like we covered that. So we like turned it into like storage and stuff, They built that this weekend and I didn't lift a finger to help, but he got those two boys out there and they did all of that. And, Luke's up there holding up these huge boards that I can barely lift.
That's awesome.
And he's holding it up while his dad screws it in. Abel's working the saw. That was adventurous also because they were learning a new skill.
And they were getting to use some power tools.
They did use it. Yeah, Abel used power tools. Luke was super jealous.
Oh,
He got to use the drill,
maybe
but he
next
was
time.
like, yeah, Matt's like, you're not old enough yet, but and my mom's like, oh dear Lord.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's okay. I'm pretty sure it's the stop saw one,
Oh yeah. It's like watching Maddox on a log splitter for the first time and just having him, put him up there and kind of go through the process of splitting the log and then taking them off and piling them up. And I was like, yes.
That's adventure for them.
Awesome.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. I love that. It is very, very true. That's a really good point that you made. It's not just mountain climbing and, backcountry biking.
Yeah. Not always.
No.
But that does count too.
Okay. Were you good there?
I'm good there.
Okay.
I think that what the next two are confronting evil and standing up for those who cannot stand up for themselves.
Yep. Yeah. And so these are the last 2 points of like, how do you make a man from a boy? These are the last two of those. So, and I absolutely love that point as well, because all people should stand up for one another. But when it really comes down to it, watching your boys put their foot down and say, nope, not happening, not in front of me. Oh man, And that allows them, again, that masculinity. That is a great thing. They took control of the situation when other people could not,
Yep.
and put a stop to it.
Yep. Because I have here that true masculinity uses strength to protect, not to dominate,
Yes.
which is something that you already mentioned.
Yeah.
And that even from scripture, Proverbs 31:8-9 says, "Speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves, for the rights of all who are destitute." Meaning that godly men defend the weak, the poor, the voiceless, the unborn, and the vulnerable. And hello, Jesus modeled this perfectly.
Yep.
Because he defended the woman caught in adultery. He welcomed children, and he stood up for those who exploited others. So this isn't just a physical principle; it's an emotional. It's an emotional one too. And it's for men specifically, boys, but I say men specifically in this aspect because of like trying to tie it into marriage. They should be a covering. Men should be a covering emotionally and spiritually, not just physically. And I feel like when you have someone that is willing to go beyond the, physical protection aspect and more of a protect your heart, protect your mind, your soul, if you will, like Pastor preached on over the weekend, and pray over like the health of those things.
Yeah.
That's next level to me.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, this like video clip is running through my mind. I just saw it yesterday, and it was talking about when men like it said something about, I don't know, like when men show out or something like that. And it's all these little clips of men like being true men. Like there's a singer up on stage and she's singing, and one of her backup dancers, this beautiful, huge, muscular man, comes right up behind her and pulls her skirt down while she's singing. He like yanks it down for her. And then there's another clip. These two girls standing on an elevator. Young boy is standing about 2 steps below them, so he could look up and look right up their dress. Well, she drops her purse. So he sees that she's going to have to bend over, so he turns around so that she can bend over without seeing up her dress. And there was, another instance. They're doing a photo shoot, and this guy, he's trying to help this girl up on a horse. Well, she's in a skirt. So he takes his cowboy hat off and covers her butt so that she can get on the horse and swing her leg over without exposing everything. Yep. And then when she does swing her leg over, he moves the hat and puts it in front until she can situate herself and, get covered. It was just...
It's the little things.
Yes. It was the sweetest little video to me because I was like, those are true men.
Yeah.
Some boy... would just stand there and like laugh or, whatever, but like
drool over
these men,
the situation.
These men want to be respectful and, absolutely protective over these women. I really, really loved it. And something that goes on at my house, if my boys come at me now, because Abel and I are just about eye to eye. If they come at me playing, Matt, especially if they kind of like give me a little shove or like kind of, give me a little punch on the shoulder, Matt's like, not my wife. Yep. You're not going to touch my wife like that, and like they're all playing and it is still in play and in jest.
But it's so good for them to hear that.
Yes. But he always puts a stop to it. Like they're not, they don't play with me like that necessarily. And we're all laughing and joking and he takes them and puts them over his shoulder and, it's fun. But he says those words all the time. You're not going to treat my wife like that. You're not going to come up on my wife like that.
Yep. Yeah, which is, again, it's just so good for them to hear because I feel that as well. Maddox is a little taller than I am these days, which just absolutely crushes my heart.
Yes.
And he'll do it too, playing or whatever. And I'm like, now you're big enough to where you don't realize like how much force you're putting behind something.
Yes.
Like you're not a kid anymore.
Yep.
And if you're gonna shove or shoulder check me or something like that, like
you're like, ow!
You have to remember that now I'm almost 40. Like you could hurt me not knowing at all that you
Yep.
did, totally unintentional. But I'm like, you're gonna have to crank it back down a little bit. But that's funny that you say that Matt says that, because I love that. Josh's is usually, you two stop before somebody gets hurt, because I
Yes.
want to give it back.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Maddox and I just giggle about it and whatnot, but he's like, he doesn't really address it from, like, not my wife. He's like, children, both
To
of you
you
knock
and
it off.
Maddox,
Yeah,
yeah.
to me and Maddox.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Matt has we heard that somewhere, and he was like, "Oh, I really love that," because the story that we heard was some guy, they're riding down the road, the kid gets real mouthy, the husband pulls over, gets the kid out of the back seat on the side of the highway, and was like, "Don't you ever speak to my wife like that."
Mm-hmm.
And he made the point of like, I didn't say to him, "Don't talk to your mom like
Mother.
that."
Yeah.
Do not speak to my wife that way. And Matt was like, "Oh, I love that." And
And
he's
and I
always done it.
and I know that we're in the topic of standing up for those that can't stand up for themselves. By no means are we saying that we can't stand up for ourselves.
Nope. I just proved a few weeks ago I can still put him in the dirt, but
Yeah.
it takes every bit
Everything
of
I
me.
got now.
Yes.
Yeah, but this is just reiterating again, like, that masculinity factor of them standing up for us.
Yes.
Not that we can't do it ourselves.
Yep.
But there's an appreciation that I have for when Josh steps in
Yes.
and handles something, like, when in a more stern tone or something, when necessary, because I've said it. Now Dad said it.
Right.
That changes things.
Yeah. Yeah, I sometimes that's irritating to me, to be honest. I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, I got this. You do not need to put your 2 cents in, like, but at the same time, I do appreciate that he's present. And then even more so, just to teach the boys, like, there's some really bad stuff that can go on at school. I never want them to stand back and like snicker over something.
Oh, never.
Or stand by, or even turn their cheek. Like, I'm not saying they need to step in and throw some bows, but they might need to, either step in and put a stop to a situation pretty quickly. Maybe just say some words like, "Hey, that's not cool. Come on, let's go." Just put a stop to something, or have the guts to really step in and tell somebody that, an adult or somebody that needs to be told, and not be afraid to stand up for that person who was, who needed somebody else to step in.
Absolutely. Which I think segues us into our final point, right? Confronting evil.
Well, yeah, yeah, definitely. I was putting those two together for sure. But yeah.
Which I think the only things that I have that are additional points to what we've already mentioned. Biblical manhood requires moral courage. Let me say that again. Biblical manhood requires moral courage to call out evil, defend truth, and resist compromise, which is exactly what you were just talking about. But it reminds me of Ephesians 6:11-13. Put on the full armor of God so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes. And I think that it is such a good practice every morning to mentally put on the full armor of God.
Yes, I actually have this in in my notes, so maybe we could talk on this one time.
Yeah.
From like a female perspective.
Yes, absolutely. We can do that. And godly men don't turn a blind eye to sin or injustice. They confront it with truth and love. And confronting evil may mean standing up for biblical truth in a culture that celebrates sin, which I think is just kind of what this whole episode has tried to tackle.
Well, and when you think about we started this all talking about Charlie Kirk. If you think about what he did, he took this ridiculous narrative of, speaking to communities. First of all, when he talked about like the gay community and things like that, he's like, it doesn't matter what your sexual orientation is to me.
Right.
You are a son of God, a woman of God. I don't need to know what your preference is in the bedroom.
Correct.
I'm going
It's
to be kind
irrelevant
to
with
you.
how I treat
Yes,
you. Yeah.
absolutely. So that was one thing that I really loved and was, I think, kind of eye opening to a lot of people of like, okay, that's between them and God.
Yeah.
It, okay, that doesn't mean we're ugly to anyone or treat them badly. We might pray because that's not the lifestyle that we agree with, but that doesn't mean that we, treat them badly. Excuse me. But also, when he spoke with people who were, trans and different things like this, part of the LGBT community, he was very clear. And he did not go along with, oh, well, you have to speak this way and say this and call me this. He was like, no, this is a mental, we need to address what's going on mentally for you, because no matter what you do to your body, you're probably not going to find peace if you don't deal with the mental aspect of it.
Correct.
That is so bold in what we see culturally and what, these expectations of what people can say and do and all that. That, and to me, was truly confronting the real problem. No matter what you do, take off or add on to your body,
Yep.
you're not going to feel good in it until you deal with the reason why you feel like you're in the wrong body to begin with.
Yeah, because the things that I feel like culturally are supposed to be taboo are almost the things that the media and whatnot are just plastering on the front page. They're supporting, they're encouraging. And some of this very much so has to do with the trans specific community
Mm-hmm.
of being able to go and have surgeries done or to, start the process or whatever, and doing it without the knowledge or the consent of parents and whatnot, and just the whole agenda that they're pushing with it. He was exactly right to go, wait a second,
Right.
let's see where this stems from and start there.
Yes.
And he was not afraid to put his foot down and address it when other people are just like, not necessarily going to turn a blind eye to it, but just be too afraid to bring it to the forefront of the attention to where, whoever it needs to be brought to,
Mm-hmm.
for fear of whatever repercussion, backlash. And he was like, no,
Right.
bring it here. I'll unpack it.
Yes. And it reminds me of a Bible story when Jesus is going through the towns, he's preaching, it's early in his ministry. Someone comes up to him and says to him, oh, you're Jesus of Nazareth. Are you here to condemn us all, or something like that? They say that it was the scripture says it was a demon in a person.
Mm-hmm.
He immediately rebukes this spirit and says, come out of him, evil spirit. And this evil spirit comes out of this person and throws the man to the side. The man is unharmed, but he has confronted this demon. And to me, it's very similar to what Charlie Kirk had the guts to actually do, was to say, you can do all this if you want to, and you can feel this way. But number one, you need to get through puberty. That's a huge thing that he advocated for.
Absolutely.
Because then all of that confusion tends to stop. And B, this is a mental issue that we need to address before we do anything physical. And that to me is like, no, stop this evil thought pattern. This is the real problem. Come out, demon. Let's address this.
Yep.
And I admire that so much. But oh man, that took so much.
Yeah, because I want to know if if he was, well, first of all, I appreciate the fact that he was bold enough to do that
Yes.
and speak up when others were not. But for you and I raising our boys, I want to know, and maybe this is a way that we gauge where we are at as moms, very similarly to Charlie Kirk, is just that, are we raising sons who are willing to speak up when everybody else stays quiet?
Yep.
And I'm not going to say that if they're not going to do that we have failed as moms. By no means would I say that. I do think that if they will speak up when others stay quiet, we can put a tally mark in our mom category of that being a success,
Yeah.
and setting them up and showing them and teaching them that that's what we want.
Yes.
I don't want you to stay quiet.
Right. It
I want you to
terrifies me.
speak up and be bold.
It does really scare me.
It does.
To think about being my child being the one voice that steps out and stands up.
But I think the reward
Yes.
is worth the risk.
Yeah. Yep. Well, I thought this was a really good one.
Yeah, I thought
I've
this
been
was a good one,
excited
too.
about talking about this. I loved what he said. I loved, it's great for boy mamas, but even for girl mamas, these are great things to really talk to your girls about looking for when it comes to their boyfriends and the men that they will spend their lives with. Surely, I would want, like we said before, I would want someone to appreciate that in my son and in my family. And I think as a girl mom, these are some, things that you would want to seek out and be proud to see that your girl or, daughter has found in a person.
Yep. And just remember that godly masculinity, it's not toxic.
No.
No culture tries to convince us otherwise, but it's not. It's not toxic. It's transformational. It's not about power. It's about purpose. It's not about dominance, but it's about devotion. And the measure of a man is not how much he can take, but how much he can give while staying true to God.
Yes. And one more little note about that. Thinking about when people get confused over a man who is domineering and over a man who is just taking care or being in control of a situation. Most of the time, if you were to not know this family and you were to look in, you would probably think mama is in control.
Yeah.
Because she is given the utmost respect. She is, the female is catered to in a way, highly respected, talked to well. The men in the family help her.
Mm-hmm.
They take care of her, make sure she's comfortable. But at the same time, she's earned that spot. It doesn't mean that she doesn't do, that she's waited on.
Right.
No, she's usually the one doing the waiting.
She's respected.
Yes, she is
valued.
Yes, very highly valued and highly respected, just like the woman in Proverbs 31. She does all of that stuff. She works, in her area. She has, she makes clothing. She has wine. She provides for people. She has people who work under her. And she is very valued and highly respected from her children and from her husband. But the thing is, like I said, from the outside looking in, you might think, well, mama's in charge. They just kind of cater to her. But overall, the man and the boys and the husband, they are still providing for her.
Mm-hmm.
They are still shielding her and protecting her, taking care of her in that sense. So it's not a domineering thing, like you said. It's not a, hey, I'm in control, you do what I say. Absolutely not.
Nope. It's a respect thing, and I think that it's pretty common knowledge, or what have you, to say that biblical women, they very much strive to be a Proverbs 31 woman.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I think for men, we should strive, or for our boys, we should strive to raise Ephesians 5 men.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm trying to do.
Nice. I love it. Love it. All right, you guys, thank you so much for being with us. We absolutely love doing these episodes. I love digging into this stuff. It's good for me. Good for,
good for my soul.
Yes, it just makes me feel good. It makes me feel intentional. And I learn something every time we come on these episodes, and I just love it. So we appreciate you guys. We love you. You know that you can reach out to us if you have comments or questions or concerns. Or, would have a topic you'd like us to speak on. And you know that we cannot do this show without our amazing producer, Stay Stoked Creative Co. You can find more about him in the show notes. And I have a newsletter that I write. It drops monthly. It's just about time for it to come out again, the October issue. It is Wealthy Kids Academy. We teach you how to create a healthy, wealthy financial foundation for your family.
Yes.
All right. That is the end of episode 28 of Moms on a Mission. We will see you next time.
Catch you next week.
See ya.
Bye.